continue with our superintendent interviews. Right now, we will be interviewing Ryan Reddick. Thank you for coming and joining us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. Excited to be here, and I do not take this opportunity lightly. My name is Ryan Reddick. I've been an educator for 25 years, 6 years as a high school English teacher, and then the last 19 years I've been in administration. I think 15 as a high school principal and 4 as an elementary principal. My last 2 years I worked on the island of Maui in Hawaii as an educational officer. I oversaw a large comprehensive district, assisted the superintendent in day-to-day activities and operations, from budget planning to school discipline to supporting principals and improving instruction. So that's kind of where I've been. I'm originally from Kennewick, Washington. I have been a faithful Montana boy for a long time. I used to come through Plains as a kid, driving from Eastern Washington. We take that left at St. Regis, and we would never stop at St. Regis. This is in the mid-'80s when I was a kid. My dad did not like the crowdedness, the gas station, all that. We'd keep rolling in our Volkswagen van because we were headed to Whitefish, Glacier, just outdoors fishing. It was a big part of our family. So we would stop at the corner right here in Plains, and I cannot remember that restaurant as a kid, but it used to be so fun to pull in there, and it brings back memories because now I see sheds and stuff. So a long time I've had trips through there. So in 2015, I really decided I wanted to retire in Western Montana. That's where I wanted to be. Was going to finish my educational career. I got 2 daughters, 26, 24, and a grandson. That's 2 years old. My last daughter graduated in it was 2018, 2019, and once she graduated, I was out the door. I was lucky enough to be offered a principal position at Polson High School and Sentinel High School. I had friends in Missoula, so I chose Sentinel High School. But that was my step into becoming, an administrator in Montana, understanding the Montana way of life, and most importantly, wanting to be where Western Montana was my dream retirement. And I can tell you this is a destination for me. It's not a stop. I love Western Montana, and when I saw Plains open up, I was excited because I have always said I'm not looking to go way, way away. I want to be right here. This is like my new home, second home, and it's where I'm going to be. And my kids love coming out. So it's me in a nutshell.
Thank you. Okay, so question 1. When budgets are tight, there are no easy choices in making budget reductions. How would you approach making difficult choices such as staff reductions, facility closures, and elimination of education programs?
Well, ultimately, I understand I am the one that has to make that difficult decision, but I will never do that without involving all of our stakeholders, our staff members, our board members, and our community members. And it'll be through transparency, a lot of listening, and presenting where we're at. But when it comes down to having to make budget cuts, I look at operational costs first. I will protect the classroom, and I will protect teachers and the staff. That will be my last resort. I know in the question it says faculty reductions. If I have to reduce and make a decision to reduce staff, I want to do a RIFT, a reduction in force transfer. By doing that, I hope to make that by using an attrition process, meaning working down the road, knowing what teachers may be retiring, what teachers may be leaving the district. That way I can make viable staff decisions. And so I don't ever want to do a RIF, a reduction in force. That means someone's getting laid off. I've had to do that. I've had to have those conversations, and it's tough. And so it's important to know that I protect classroom, protect teachers first, look at operational costs, involve all stakeholders, see where we can save money, move money around, and go from there. Facility closures, that would be the last. In a community like this, the school is the heart of this community. We thrive in this area. This is the best place on earth, is school. Our kids come here, they want to have the best time, they want to be excited, and we want to teach them to go out and be productive citizens. So having to close facilities, that would be a last resort. I would close a facility if it was unsafe, but just to close it because we weren't able to fund it is when you become very strategic. And besides our normal funding, where it goes from state funding, federal funding, A&D funding, all our special programs, we're gonna dig into grants. And I'm gonna battle to make sure that we keep our facilities open, we keep our teachers here, we keep our support staff. And with that, and not getting into another question, is building enrollment. That's one of my goals as if I was your superintendent, is to build our enrollment.
What strategies would you support and implement to maintain enrollment impulse?
Well, first of all, being a steward of the community, being visible, talking about Plains, talking about the great things we're doing. I'd spoke in the community meeting. We would have a Plains YouTube channel. We would highlight what our students are doing in the classroom, extracurricular activities, have students have a voice, and have that YouTube channel as one way. The second way is building our programs within the school. I know we go from budget restrictions, but what are we offering our students? Is there something other districts aren't doing? Like workplace internships for our high school kids? Is there art programs? Stuff that we can draw kids and parents to Plains. Because again, as your superintendent, I treat this as the most special place. There's over 187 rural schools in Montana school districts? I think it's more than that. I want us to be the rural community that other rural communities go, man, what are they doing in Plains? Their enrollment has gone up. Their teachers are there. They're recruiting teachers. And so by doing that, it's communication, it's visibility, it's showcasing our kids and our teachers and what they're doing and having that mission. And I'm super competitive too, so I will tell you that right now. I'm competitive. I want to be the best rural school district in this state, and we will do that. And so it's part of my athletics in college, played football. I've just always grown up my competitiveness. So that's another thing that's going to drive me. I want to have the best extracurricular activities and the happiest kids walking out of here. Because if they're happy, I know you guys are happy.
How would you go about attracting and retaining qualified staff members to commit to Plains?
Well, first off, when we attract and we want to recruit highly qualified teachers, our current teachers need to know that they feel supported, they feel appreciated, and they love being here. Because word of mouth travels really quick when teachers are excited about coming in. It does not take, this is a very large state, but it does not take very long for stuff to get out there about unhappiness. So my job to make sure is our current staff, classified and certificated, enjoy coming to work every single day. And that's going to bleed out to other staff members. So I've done this job long enough to know that teachers don't quit because they're underpaid. They quit because they don't feel supported or appreciated from their administrators. So that's a big component of me. From the day I started as a high school English teacher at Barry Goldwater High School in Phoenix, I watched a quickest 15-20 minute video that resonated with me, and it still has. It's called the fish philosophy. If you know me, I will choose my attitude, I'll be there, I'll make their day, and we'll have some fun. Those are the 4 things. You watch those fish Mongols at Pike Place, just that's their philosophy. They have fun. They're always smiling and having a good time. So that's my basic philosophy and how I lead in terms of those 4 principles. I come every day. If I come here with a poor attitude, not smiling, it doesn't take long for that to become infectious. And then other adults are that way, and then students. So the attracting and retaining is building strong collegiality. I was talking to a couple, I think it was Ellen, board member, former board member. Yeah. And she'd asked me, when I started at Sentinel High School, there was a huge disconnect from administration, a lack of trust. and it was difficult. And that was, at that time, that was 87 teachers and about 25 classified. I'm willing to think out of the box and take a chance because I feel it's important. And rather than spend 3 straight days of, we know that as teachers before the kids show up, we come back out of summer and say, oh, I got planning. Oh, I got to listen to all these safety videos. I got to do this. I just told my superintendent I'm taking them bowling. And we went to the one last bowling alley in Missoula, 87 of us. We rode a bus, 2 buses, and we bowled for 2 hours. And our staff was very fragmented, and I just watched it. We went on I think it was Wednesday at 1 o'clock. It's very cheap to use the bowling alley on a Wednesday at 1 o'clock. It's not a lot of people there. That was my first step in building that trust with the staff, because we had the best time. And I remember a couple of the teachers like, man, I haven't even talked to Dan Lockridge, our Spanish teacher. I've been working with him for 15 years. I may have had 3 conversations. So that is one thing, bringing us together as a staff. And retaining qualified, challenging our teachers to go out and get that extra, if they want to teach a program, they want to get certified in AP class, college in the high school, ag ed, those types of programs. Recruiting those teachers by showing that we may not have the best facilities, but the best teachers I know taught with chalk and a chalkboard. The curriculum is the second piece. It's the teacher and their love for that, and they can turn anything into something special.
How would you seek out the views of teachers and other school employees?
I like to, as a principal, I like to have a principal advisory committee. I would ask my principals to do that. Very simple way of just, it's not a time for the principal. I would still do it for a superintendent. We'd call it a SAC, an open meeting. Just come in, share what's going on, how you're feeling. Is there something going on you're concerned about? But before that happens, I got to build that trust. Teachers have to feel that they're going to trust me, that I'm approachable, that I'm going to follow through. So that would be with the teachers. School employees, I like to come in early sometimes and just work with the custodian at 6. The first custodian at Sentinel High School was surprised when I showed up to help him clean the locker room because the boys were leaving the locker room. It was completely dirty. It was horrendous. We had one custodian to do those lockers. So I went and worked with him. His name was Damien, and I said, what's going on? To just hear his opinion. He's like, hey, some of these kids are, they're leaving a mess. So I went right to my coaches to explain to them that that's unacceptable. So seeking out views is just getting right next to that employee and listening to them. My grandpa taught me there's a reason why we got 2 of these and 1 of these. And so I still do a lot of just listening. So that would be how I'd go about it. Just being visible, being approachable, and being open. I am a pretty tall guy, but I find myself to be a teddy bear and easily approachable.
What are some of the major hurdles you see with improvement in instructional programs?
Well, obviously, monetary budget would always be my big thing when I talk to our principals and I talk to our teachers. It's CIA. Those are the 3 most important things: curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Do our teachers have a viable curriculum in their classroom, and are they supported with professional development that allows them to deliver that curriculum at a high rate of learning? And then assessing, so we can see if that curriculum's working or if a teacher wants to go and get some more professional development. So the major hurdles of improvement is time. Are we using our intervention time importantly? So is our core, I'll probably speak to core later, our tier 1 instruction needs to be buttoned down, needs to be top notch. When 20% or 15 to 20% of our kids aren't responding with that tier 1 instruction, what are we doing in our intervention periods to get them back into the core of tier 1? And then when we talk with SPED, our tier 3 kids, what are we doing for them to get them back to the tier 1 instruction? So the major hurdles are time, working with each other, assessing, and money. But if we are strategic, we have a vision, we look at our budget and we appropriate the money properly, and we equip our teachers and classified staff with the tools, we can do it. It can be done. I'm a big proponent, collective efficacy. We talk about curriculum and everything. When the staff is 100% collective efficacy, they all believe we make the difference, no excuses. It's pretty infectious, and it's the number one strategy that improves student learning. And that's, if you read John Hattie's book, Visual Learning, from 2009, it's collective efficacy. If the teachers all believe in the fundamental principle that we do make a difference, no excuses. Because teaching is the toughest profession out there. I did it. It's not easy, and it's getting harder because students are learning at different rates. They take longer. Some of them need tier 1, tier 2. Some of them have IEPs. Some of them have learning disabilities. And you throw 20 of them in the classroom, you can tell the teacher, here you go. Yeah, it's difficult. It's very difficult. But it can be done. It can be done. As long as we have our priorities, we assess, and we make changes when need be. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over. We have to be progressive.
What is your plan for meeting the needs of both general and special education students in a budget-constrained environment?
So going back to CIA, we protect the core. My goal, I work with my principals, we protect core instruction. Tier 1 is the most important aspect in the classroom. All students get an opportunity for tier 1. We assess, see where our kids are through benchmarks, and we make those necessary changes to make sure those kids that aren't at tier 1 are getting the necessary interventions to hopefully get back to tier 1. So tier 2 students we see who our tier 2 students are, and we use interventions to move them back into tier 1. That's the most important. When it comes to special education, our IDEA funding, our Title I funding, our Title II funding, our 21st century grants, those are all additional pools of money that we need to go out and get to help offset the cost out of our general fund. So those are all pockets of money that are there. But as far as special education, a student has an IEP. It's important that we work with the co-op, that those students are getting the services that we may not be able to provide at this school. It can be PT, it could be OT. It could be, I'm thinking, speech language. All that stuff. We have to make sure we work. It's Ashley and it's Granite Mountain, right? Granite Mountain Co-op?
Cabinet Mountain.
Oh, Cabinet Mountain Co-op. And make sure that those specialized instructors are providing those interventions to our students in a timely fashion that are on IEPs. And our special education students, sometimes they need more assessing on a more frequent, like a 3, 9, 12-week basis. So that's important. And I'm a firm believer, all students should be in a general classroom education setting. We should have a push-in model for students. For some students who struggle in that push-in model or may not be able to be successful, that's when we pull out and we work those tier 3 interventions. But the goal is all our students are in that classroom being delivered tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 instruction. I guess, just to make sure that when we talk about the special education funding, it's important that we're looking at Title I, Title II, and our IDEA funding, and most importantly, some of those grants that are out there.
What is your style in confronting negative behavior in employees, students, and community members?
Well, when confronting is to listen. and not react. I need to listen. I need to remain calm. They're venting. That's part of this job. I need to work with that negative behavior. Listen to a staff member. Listen to the adults. And from there, ask. Sometimes it's just they needed to vent. I've dealt with parents who are just upset, but after listening to them for 15 to 20 minutes, they felt better, that they got it off their shoulder. Because they know that we're doing our best that we can do, and if we're not, we'll fix that. So listening and not becoming reactive. That's the biggest mistake that I've learned over my career, is not reacting. When I was a younger principal, I was I became a principal at 31, 32, and I was quick to react. And that just elevates the situation and you don't get anywhere. And so over the years, I've learned verbal judo. It's a great way to de-escalate someone that's super heated. And I've noticed it's coming along with our police forces across the nation with mental health, verbal judo. And one of the first things I tell a parent that's yelling at me is, I understand. If that was my son or daughter, I would be upset too. But let's sit down and talk about it and see what the root cause is. Because there's always two sides to the story. So, students, well, one, I'm very visible with students. My goal, and one of my other parts, is every student, every grade, every day is greeted by adults here with a smile, and they're greeted by their name. Fist bumps, I mean, that's what I love about small rural communities. It's, getting to know the students up close and personal. And that's my job, to work with them. If we have a situation where negative behavior becomes disruptive to the learning environment, I'm going to use restorative justice. I love, okay, what happened? Tell me what happened. Why did you feel that way? What can I do to support you? Who do we need to go talk to make this right? How can we repair the harm? Because a lot of times that negative behavior is from something outside that we don't know. It's coming from an outside environment. And if we react in a negative way, we're just escalating the situation. I call it the Charlie Brown. When a student is upset, and if I'm taught and adults talk, and they just hear Charlie Brown voice, the old cardio Charlie, blah, blah, blah. So we just got to let them listen. That's why I go through the restorative practices. But they need to know that they're cared for. Support them. What you did wasn't probably right, but we're going to repair it and take ownership when they're ready. I never ask a student to walk them back down to the classroom 15 minutes after a negative situation until they're ready to move forward with that. Okay. So confronting is listening, being supportive. Because one of my biggest things I learned as I moved through my master's program and all this stuff is how brains operate in young kids, our teenagers. A lot of them it was ACEs, but I call it the window of stress tolerance. Some of our kids come and their window to handle stress is about that big. So when the button is pushed, and it could have been some sarcastic statement accidentally, it just sets the kid off. Some of our kids come to school, their stress tolerance in their brain is that big. And so that's important. It's a book, Shannon Forbes, it's a great book, Help for Billy. But I've learned that, the windows of stress tolerance. I don't know the background of the student, where he's coming from, what happened last night. We just don't know. So we work through that. So I guess listening, not being reactive, either adults or students, find the root cause, solve the problem, support them, and then follow up. Following up is an important part of my position. That's how you build trust. If a teacher asks me to do something, I'm getting it done. I'm going to make sure it's done. My principal needs support, I'm going to support him. The follow through is important. That's how we build transparency, trust, and we have teachers and staff members who feel supported, is when follow through takes place.
you are hired as the new superintendent in a district, you find several staff who have been less than supportive of your appointment and who are only mildly responsive to you personally. What is your response?
Feed teachers so they don't eat students. Actually, it's a great book. No, seriously, I understand that. It's not easy. This is a difficult situation. I have to be present. I have to be visible at school and in the community. As I said, I have to follow through, but I have to listen to the staff. I will, one, work with my principals. If hired in this position, I hope I could get an opportunity to work before everyone's gone. I think it's important that I'm able to be present in early May or late April. I understand sometimes transitions don't always work that way, but I think it's a vital component in this situation with some of the animosity or just the feelings out there right now. And I'm just going to listen and be present and try to figure what our teachers, our adults, classified staff, and students, what they need. And I'm going to do my best to make sure I meet those needs. I don't ever expect everybody, oh, I'll be happy and like it. No, it takes a while. But I'm a servant leader. I serve the board and I serve the community to make sure that their kids come here and they're getting the best education they can. So just a lot of listening and, like I said, try to build collegiality, but it will take time. It will take time. And if it continues where I have a teacher or two that aren't following through, I'm going to work with my principal and we'll have a conversation. Because boundaries need to be set, expectations need to be known for success to happen. And I understand I have to make tough decisions at times, but I'm going to make the best decision for our students, and I'm going to stick by that decision. If it flames out, I'm going to admit, okay, that wasn't the best decision, but let's come back to the table and fix it. I can't make a decision and then, you know what, we'll do it this way. No, we're going to go with what's best for our students and go from there.
You have a principal who does not evaluate teachers as directed by policy. How do you handle this matter?
If I have a principal not following proper protocol, that's a serious situation. We have policy, we have unions, and deadlines need to be met, guidelines need to be established. You have to follow your evaluations. Steve Neal was my mentor back when I did my I did my internship in 2006 at Richland High School. He told me there's two things, Reddick, that are going to get you fired. Spending too much money and not evaluating your teachers. And that is still true today. But my bigger concern is teachers need feedback. If we want top-notch teachers performing to their best, they need to have feedback. They need to receive feedback from their administrator. Hey, you're doing great here. How did this go? And it doesn't always have to be a formal evaluation, but it needs to be drop-ins, walk-bys, just quick little 15, 20-minute snippets. But to handle that, we will have a conference about it. I will set an expectation with the principal. We will convene 3 weeks from that time to see where we're at. If I need to take the next step, it would be a letter of reprimand in the file and start the process of here's your improvement plan on evaluations. But my first meeting would just be, hey, we got to get better here. But I'm hoping my job is to create the power of principals to want to be superintendents, to want to be leaders. But again, this goes back to student success. If teachers aren't getting feedback, how are they going to improve? So it's important. So that would be something one of my first 100 days on this job is to sit down with the principals and work through evaluation process. What's your tool? What are we evaluating on? What does it look like? I like to teach principals they're the caddy, the teacher's the golfer. The golfer takes the shots, the caddy provides advice in a non-threatening way and that trusting relationship. Because that's truly when teachers will improve is when they know their administrator supports them. And I've always told teachers, take the biggest swing you can, because I love thinking out of the box and seeing something different. You know, I was talking to a teacher in math, like building thinking classrooms are something I didn't start, but I learned the professional development about getting kids up, solving problems on the whiteboards in small groups and working in groups to solve. A very non-traditional way to math, but it's really gaining ground in terms of, man, this is a great way to teach math.
A board member claims to represent a sizable group in your community, but she seems to be in opposition of most of your recommendations. What do you do?
Well, I'm the CEO of the school district. I'm a steward of what you guys have set as policy and priorities for this district. If we have one board member, but we're a team, so we work through that. There's no individuals. So if it's a sizable, that's concerning to me that we haven't talked about it as a group in our meetings in terms of a board member. It's my responsibility to lead and run the day-to-day operations of this district and to report to you what's going on a daily basis. But I'm going to listen and kind of find out and work through that, because I believe we do the best work when the board and the superintendent work together respectfully. We don't always have to agree, but we need to walk out of the room unified in what we're doing. And if it's not working, we come back to the table and reassess. But it would be something, full transparency, we need to talk about as a group. Is if we get splinter groups of board members, that creates decisiveness, and it's tough it's a lack of transparency. So when I'm out there communicating to the community budget, we can't have splinter groups. We got to be unified as a board. But I'm going to listen. I'm going to hear. I can tell you something I dealt with straight up right away. Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet is a 9th grade lit book from when I was a principal. I wasn't a superintendent, but I was tasked at 3 out of 7 school board members that felt that was not appropriate for a 9th grade lit book. I worked through that process because it is a part of the curriculum at lots of schools at the 9th grade level, Romeo and Juliet. The board lacked transparency. There wasn't communication, so I wasn't happy with the superintendent, but I worked directly with the board behind session and the superintendent to come up, okay, what's really going on? What's going on? And it's just a few people in the community did not feel it was appropriate. Unfortunately, it was adopted curriculum, and our responsibility is to deliver that. So we just listened and then gave an opportunity to opt out to those students of parents who didn't want their student to be reading Romeo and Juliet. We gave them an alternative lit book. But I learned really quick about being transparent and working as a team and not as splinter groups, because it can really become decisive and hurt your culture of your school district.
What do you feel is the appropriate role of a board member in this district?
To set policy, set direction, priorities, take what the superintendent brings to you, work with the superintendent, listen to our teachers in formal meetings, take all that information and then make decisions best for our community and our students.
Many groups of people in the schools and communities express a desire to meet and communicate effectively with the superintendent. It is a constructive use of the superintendent's time to meet with so many people. If important, how do you accomplish this?
Absolutely, 100%. It's important. It's part of my job. As your superintendent, we would have one standing day a month where you would be able to come have coffee with the superintendent. I believe the circle would be the best location, because I've done it as a principal, I've done it as an educational officer in Hawaii, meet community members outside of school. Sometimes schools can be threatening to our community, not threatening, but it could just be kind of scary to want to walk into a school. So what better place than support a community business, an open standing day once a month for 90 minutes to 2 hours to meet with the superintendent. This is just as I say SAC, a superintendent advisory committee, that would be similar for our community. And I can tell you that that would happen quickly if I was your superintendent. So absolutely, no, 100%. Being if at a time when transparency is the most important piece to, approving budgets and gaining trust, the superintendent has to be the most visible person in our community.
What do you feel is the superintendent's role in the process of articulating the district vision and mission and setting district goals?
Well, articulating one is, you set them, I bring them to our principals, I bring them to our staff, we put it into our strategic plan, we put it into our goals. How are we meeting this vision? How are we meeting the mission? And like I say, my mission is simple. It doesn't have to be lengthy, but my mission is every student, every grade, every day walks into this school and is greeted by an adult, has an adult they consider a safety adult or someone they can talk to, but they walk out of here with a smile. But my job is to make sure even when I look at strategic vision, I like to work with our handful of English teachers, our math teachers. What do we want to do at our secondary? What's our secondary goal as an entire staff at the high school level? To really show what we're doing in the classroom is a part of that strategic vision. I'll make sure I answer all this question. But then also, it's a constant, we're always talking about reviewing. It's a working document when we look at our strategic plan and or the district vision. It needs to be an important part. I know Missoula County Public Schools, we had to have it in our signature line at our email. It's important so everybody knows what that vision is. And then we talk about it, we revisit. Are we really meeting that vision?
What type of relationship do you want to establish with the board?
Well, one, respectful. One, we're respectful of each other's beliefs. We all have great intentions. We want what's best for our kids. That we're collegial. We work together and we trust one another. That we're doing our best work, putting out our best product for our teachers and our students. I would like to do a board retreat. I know we say the word retreat. I'm not talking going to Arizona for a retreat. I'm just talking getting together and kind of working through, Well, we can do it. You can jump on that flight to Scottsdale out of Missoula. I think it leaves at 3:20 on Friday. Comes back Monday morning. So it's pretty cheap on Allegiant. But again, the relationship is respectful, trusting. We're partners. We work hard. We put effort into what we're doing. We're able to, I'm able to take constructive feedback. Hey, we need this. Okay. But to know that our board members, to know that our teachers are doing and our classified staff are doing their best job.
Give us examples of the best ways you have found to communicate with the majority of the residents in your last district. Would you foresee any changes with a district this size?
Absolutely not. I basically extracurricular activities. The extracurricular activities. For one, if given an opportunity in this position, I think this coming Saturday, the fundraiser at the park, that's for our cross country and track, that's an important event for me to be at. To be there and be visible and talking and introducing myself. and laying the groundwork for that relationship, that trust, that transparency. So just being out in the public, like I said, coffee with the superintendent, but I don't foresee any changes. It's obviously going to be easier to see people quicker, talk with people, because of the smaller community, but so that's one. I will always do a weekly message, one to the board, one to our teachers, and one to our community. Messages could be almost identical. There may be some stuff under FERPA where I'm only sharing certain stuff with the board that I wouldn't share with the community because it's not appropriate. But community is going to get a weekly call out from me if we had school messenger. If not, then I do it in an email. And then teachers, and I like to do that Friday afternoon, hit them up before everyone goes into the weekend, because they're less likely to read an email Monday morning, because as a teacher, I'm just thinking about, oh, okay, I got this class, okay, what am I doing? So, and then I like to wait until I send my communications to the board Friday afternoon, so I get through the week and everything has happened. Sometimes when I send them out Friday morning, lo and behold, something happens Friday. So that's an important piece for communication. I also, I've always been a part of Kiwanis. It's a smaller community here. If we have any type of Kiwanis clubs, I know the American Legion in Plains, I would be a member of that, if that's important, to be a part of the community. So.
Tell us why you feel you are the best candidate for this position.
I was thinking about this long. Right now, my leadership style fits what you need. You need a motivator and you need a unifier. Not just staff, but community. I'm also a servant. I'm fiscally responsible. I'm transparent. I follow through. I think it's important that I have always said, being a servant leader, I have to make sure our teachers are doing the best work they can and they're supported. Because our customers are the most important part of this business. And when our customers go home upset, we will have more customers coming to us with concerns. So it starts with supporting and giving our teachers what they need to be successful. There was my top 5 Clifton strengths. I'm always about feedback. I try to bet. So my top 5 Clifton strengths leadership is: number 1 is positivity, number 2 is relator, number 3 is communicator, number 4 is, it's called it's not an attribute, I can't remember, but it's bringing people to the table and successfully walking out with a plan. So those are really, so I feel my traits as a leader fit what this district needs. And I really think, one, we need a motivator, a listener, and a unifier. And this, I've done it at Sentinel. I did it previous when I was at Washington Elementary as an elementary principal, a high poverty school, lots of teachers moving in different directions, and brought them together.
Do you have any questions for us?
Oh, absolutely, yes. I've got a couple here. So what are you looking for in your next superintendent? What are, if you could choose your superintendent, what are the qualities and attributes you want in that person?
I think obviously transparency, communication, fiscal responsibility, follow through. Somebody who knows the laws, like especially with SPED, and can follow them. People are willing to open up and let outsiders in to help if we don't know something. So ongoing support. Somebody who's going to hold people accountable. If somebody's struggling, that we're actually supporting them and moving people forward positively, but with accountability.
Okay. For me, one of the things that you talked about is, I understand 3,000 policy. I know there's a lot of policies out there. I'll be telling you, do I know every single one? No. But I seek help when needed to find out, to make sure if I'm making a decision, I need to know policies and what's in place. Now I know that 3,000, that's the most important and what most of school administrators are looking at constantly. And sped law, very huge with sped law, but you know, tapping into Cabinet Mountain Co-op, you know, calling friends and just getting, you know, what's going on, because I never want to act without having all the information. It's the quickest way as a leader to get in trouble is start making decisions before you know everything. And that's one thing. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I think there's power in numbers when we work together, and I'm going to seek out all the information before making a decision.
Anyone else want to answer that question?
Yeah, I think we need somebody with experience and an interest in fiscal management. And I think that this school and this community has gone through a period of divisiveness, and we need sort of a healing exercise in this school and in the town where we can bring everybody together and the teachers can feel supported by administration and the community feels like everybody here is working for the benefit of our children and not fighting.
And that's a great with the budget. So I just look at, okay, we're all on the school bus. I drive that school bus, known as the school budget. My good friend here rides shotgun with me. The board members, the teachers, classified staff, and community members are on that bus. It's my job, working with our business manager, to gather all the input through all our expenses, where we're at, what's the data saying, and bring that to the board, because you're sitting on the back of the bus. I navigate with our business manager through community, through teachers, and when I get to the back of the bus, that's when here's what I have. I bring you all the data and all the information so you guys can make the best decision and then have the opportunity to ask questions. Because that's important. Budgets are public documents, but I've always felt sometimes a quick way to not know what community member knows what the budget. Their documents are hard to read sometimes when you look at an Excel spreadsheet in 17 rows, 22 highlighted colors. It's important to me, when I put the budget out from the board, you guys can read that and understand it. Here's what we got going to transportation out of our general fund. Here's what we have going to teacher salary. Here's what we have to support staff. Here's what we have going to curriculum. It would be my goal as your superintendent in 2029, and I told this to a teacher, 2 years from now, we have carryover. I would hope you would judge me in 2 years from now like, holy crap, we have a little bit of carryover. But I don't want it's a 3 to 5 year planning. That's what I was taught. It's about planning ahead. And I talked about that. I don't ever want to be in that position, and I know friends that have been there. Are we going to have enough money to make it through the last month of the school year? So it's fiscally responsible. What I like to do is plan ahead. And by 2029, we have a carryover. I hope we can celebrate that. It would be my treat, because it's tough right now to have carryovers. But how you do that, you communicate. You find out from your staff, what do we need? And I told somebody, we need a new copier. Okay, we're going to plan for that and make that purchase a year from now. If we're able to make it earlier, great. But I'm going to build a budget with the board that we can buy that copy machine a year from now, hopefully earlier.
You know, I like your attitude, but you know, I'm really looking for somebody we can be proud of. I want the public to be able to speak with us when we're in passing, or whether we're in the hardware store or whatnot, and say, "Great job, guys. You're doing a good job for us." And somebody that cares to do their job, and does their job, and does what they say they're going to do, means what they say.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm looking for.
And I hope that you would have, if you hire me, I hope 3-4 months from now, you're getting that regularly, if not within the first month. I know it takes time and it's actions. Right now it's words, but actions are more important than words. And so it's an actionable position, but it's part of that action is listening. Because I don't want to move fast. I want to know what the needs are. So I would hope that you would see that, by Labor Day, that people are talking, hey, this guy cares. As a high school principal, a graduating class of 320, I hug every single person as they come off that stage. And I've had parents and teachers say, dude, you care. You're the first principal that's actually hugged my kid as they come off stage. It's important to me. This is my purpose, is being in education. I thought for a time that I might not be able to be back in education, but I was thankful for the opportunity that I had in Maui, Hawaii, and I'm happy to be back in Montana because it's an important spot for me. That's where I want to be. I'll just kind of quick, fast forward 1 year from now, if I was your superintendent, what would success look like 1 year from now? If it was.
I want this room to be full of people. I want us to
Great.
be having these meetings in the auditorium where we have larger community engagement, where they can speak and be heard, understand the facts. You spoke about sharing information. Some of it has to be withheld due to FERPA, whatever, but delivering the message and hitting our marks.
Absolutely. Having huge involvement is great. I would agree with you 100%. I hope I could bring that to you in 1 year. That people we don't normally see are out and about and mingling, and this is the heart of our community. And people feel comfortable coming to school and celebrating and talking and enjoying the school.
To me, this is the pillar of our community. And if we have a weak base, it's hard to gain traction from there.
Yep, absolutely.
I would say success in 1 year probably looks like a balanced budget that your staff can stand behind, that is fiscally responsible, that your community sees you being really responsible with money. That's a huge issue right now, and that people believe you when you speak.
Absolutely.
That the follow through is there, that when you say something, they trust that you mean what you say, and you're not somebody who's withholding and, unless you legally have to. But that they trust your judgment.
Yeah, absolutely. Understanding FERPA, but yeah, that's.
I'd like to hear from teachers and students that they think we made a good choice.
There you go.
Is there a transitional plan for the new superintendent, or,
Can you expand on that? What does that mean?
a transitional plan, like, trying to get the new person in before summer starts, or being a part of some community events, or?
I don't know that we're there yet. I don't know that we've historically done that, so that would be something worth discussing.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good idea.
Good question though.
I always think that's a good idea. I'm like, I don't
What do
think
you
that's a
feel?
good idea.
What do you feel would be a good idea for that? Like, how does that work for somebody?
Have one respecting the outgoing superintendent, giving them their opportunity to, and not get in the way of that, but one, Saturday, being a part of that community. But that's just, if you had a superintendent, that was me, I'd want to be there, being able to introduce myself to community members, seeing the kids at the fundraiser, and then finding some time to be able to come be a part of the staff, and just visit with them, have some time to meet with them one-on-one, or just an open opportunity to gauge where the staff's at, how they're feeling, especially if they're feeling a lack of trust, or at least that they know, here's my phone number, please call anytime, here's my email me. But just having some FaceTimes to be able to listen, and so when we come into August, it's like, oh, who's that dude? People know who I am. But
Fair.
Any other questions for us?
actually, no, that's all I have. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. Again, I don't take this position lightly. I'm excited to serve. This is a destination for me, and my actions would show you how much I value education, value your kids, and the importance of Plain community is to me. And yeah.
Thank you, Ryan.
We'll take about a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back with public comment on candidate